for
Mm.
once in for once. Thank you, brother, for being here. Thank you to those who are joining in. Lovely to be back with Josh. It's been a while.
An absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you for having
Always.
me on.
My pleasure. Definitely my pleasure. It's yeah, I can't put words to, how much it has uh, done for me, helped me, whatever you want to, however you want to classify it, if that's needed.
No,
Some
not
will
at all.
say, "What happened to Josh's hair?"
Yes.
We've been talking about it. I actually want to start off the day with a little bit of hair. We discussed it before,
Hmm.
and you mentioned to me just as a joke. I'm sure that it was in sympathy with me because mine is thinning, and I was contemplating on taking it off.
Hmm.
But I'm sure you have your own reasons. I have some
Yeah.
thoughts about it though. It's
Hmm.
like it has become so prevalent or clear that one thing is like how you will I won't say judge, but okay, let's in lack of a better word, let's say how you would you have stereotypes, right?
Hmm.
It's stereotypes, and I think it's quite uh, extraordinary to see that one thing is like you see a person uh, with a certain look, and it is easy and it's very normal to judge them based on how they look, right? I can just say for myself, like how it's even to the point where you kind of I don't know if judge is the right word, but let's use it. Judge yourself, like it's almost to the point where I've come to identify with now having hair,
Hmm.
and when I had no hair, I feel I was a different person,
Hmm.
and I'm quite happy with who I am today, right? So it's almost to the point where if I would shave my head, and I will because it's a lost cause, it's it's done. But it's kind of you always almost look at yourself in those put yourself in those stereotypes. Do that make sense to you?
Yeah, but you said the word yourself. I was a different person. It's just a character, the actor. And that's what comes, goes, and changes. But the true you never changes.
Mm.
So the formless one who doesn't identify with that is just happy to do anything because there's no judgment there. So like I was saying last time, we can identify with spirituality as, not caring about appearances when we first go through those phases. When we just let things grow, we feel like it's a part of the spiritual movement. But also, you can come to a point where you realize even that's a concept within inside itself,
Hmm.
and let others judge and just be happy with what is.
Hmm.
Um, certain people probably expect people to have long hair, and that's their expectations.
I would assume it's like that. Uh, and I would say to a certain extent, would you say it's the ego that has this, yeah,
Yeah,
your
it's
little
ego.
nod?
Every concept that arises is coming from that ego, and the way we judge others on appearance is only coming from one thing: the idea of what something is, and stored inside your psyche as an ego, or as the ego, or a part of the ego.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes
I
sense.
was standing with the machine in my hand yesterday, and I think, okay, no, I'm gonna keep it for our first or this talk, just so we can touch upon it, and so I can hold it a few more hours before I let it
You
go.
can save it. You can hold it in your hand.
Yeah, I will make kind of a picture poster of it,
A
glue it
collage.
to a
Beautiful
collage,
hair.
collage.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, but what struck me was that it's not, no surprise, and I always knew that people judge people based on appearance. That's nothing new. What struck me was that I was kind of feeling me myself, putting myself in, because let's be fair. When I shaved my hair at the age of 19, started to do the weights and started to gain some mass, and I wanted to be a big, bold thug.
Mhm.
It was kind of what I was going for. It was never who I was. I'm
Yeah.
very I was always very clear on, like, I chose an image that really never suited my personality. However, it was what I chose.
Mm.
Uh, and I haven't contemplated much about why I chose that. I can only imagine it was meant to be. It was what I was supposed to do.
Part of the process.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think it'll be good just to let go of the ideas that hold on to the hair as well in itself.
yeah,
But whether you do or you don't have hair, the idea of either one can just be left alone, and then you're free
yeah.
because it makes no difference what others think. And we find ourselves thinking for ourselves and even what others may think. So if you are finding yourself in a position where you may think about what others think or feel about it, it's a good thing to overcome.
It's not that I'm pretty clear on. I don't have any issues or thoughts around also what other people think about me. I don't care about. That's been pretty. I made that pretty clear. If you ask anyone around me, uh, since I've been sharing and talking about the things I have done. So that's nothing that's struck my mind regarding the hair now. It was more my own. It was kind of like, okay, I was asking myself, do you want to go back to the thug look, right? You could start the training also, so before you know it, probably there's a few kilos more of muscle and the bald, and probably people will say, hey, welcome back. Where you been?
Well, a thug is a perception, or somebody might look very smart with it,
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
think you're,
I just wanted to mention it because I found it kind of interesting that you would even put yourself in that kind of setting. I don't know how to.
yeah. But none of it really matters. And you just see there's this
No.
dialogue going on inside of the self, and you just observe it for what it is. And I would just suggest to just overcome those voices to anyone that may be going through these, because essentially your happiness is inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
We tune ourselves to be happy, and to be happy is not to think for others. It's not to even think for yourself. It's to
Mm-hmm.
be thoughtless and loving towards everything.
Mm.
I was writing a post today. I haven't quite finished it, like a significant post on B12.
Oh.
I think it needs to be covered.
Mm-hmm.
And during the post, I was expressing and explaining about how, due to modern day farming practices, our soil is very deficient in cobalt. Um, the bacteria need cobalt to convert to B12, and thus being expressed in our food and in the soil. But if we just look at those practices that have taken the cobalt out of the soil, it's not only that, it is absolutely an array of minerals that we are not getting from these commercial practices. So I think one of the most important things we can do when we recognize this is realize, how do we get the proper food sources? Because nobody should ever be deficient in anything, because nature in its own perfection takes care of everything effortlessly. And when we start to take one thing and try to mix our ideas in with this perfection, we then become very deficient. Um, there was a great culling of a certain type of bird um, that was eating seeds when they were planting crops. I can't remember the actual place. It might come back to me.
Mm.
But they killed billions of these birds because they kept consuming the seeds, and it was shortening the supply of food.
Mm.
But in doing so, there was a backlash. The birds weren't eating the locusts, and then they ate and consumed all the food, which caused
Mm,
a great famine. So getting close to the earth, finding a natural organic land, being in union with the relationship with nature and your true food source, you'll find yourself feeling an absolute incredible, almost upgraded human, because we're actually missing amino acid coding, which is not present in the food, the vitamins and minerals that hold the body together. So just a note that it is very important that in this new age, we work together with friends, family, or people with the same interests, just to find yourself in a position where you can, you know, be toilless, free from modern day working practices, and utilize what you came here to do, and that's experience perfection and overcome the ego. It's found in nature. The world has nothing but ideas and concepts to fruitfully inspire the ego. And I think that when we get down to the most simplicity, we find peace, happiness, love,
mm.
and health. Very important. And on that subject, how are you feeling, dear brother? Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling very, very good. Uh, I can with 100% certainty say that the B12 has picked me up, so to speak.
Mm.
So no, I feel very good. Feeling
Yeah. B12 as well is another thing. It's naturally synthesized. It grows inside the lower intestine,
mm,
so the body can't necessarily absorb it. But what happens is it comes out in your poo.
mm,
And where should your poo go?
on the
Not down the
plants.
toilet, into the soil. So this whole process that's going on is perfect. And all we need to do is just allow things to be, and we will have the return of health. Because every time we're having a new season with the commercial world, we're having more deficiencies.
Mm,
And everyone who is on a plant-based lifestyle at this point in time, I'm sure if they had a deficiency in B12, question the fruit-based, plant-based lifestyle. But meat eaters are only having certain amounts of B12 because the animals themselves are actually getting the B12 injections and supplementation. I think 95% of B12 supplementation goes to livestock.
oh.
So they're all getting their B12 injections. So animals would naturally get it from the soil, or sometimes, say, a gorilla, they may eat their own feces, but they eat the roots which contain the bacteria and the microorganisms that are in the mud. So something so simple as that has such a detrimental effect on the nervous system. It can actually lead to paralysis. But as soon as you have the B12 back into the body, it comes alive again.
Mm,
And it's such an important function, such a important role in our food system that is not spoken about within any mainstream practices, apart from you need to get your B12 from liver, animals, seafood, etc., which is not the case because they all get it from plants,
mm.
bacteria in nature.
Uh, I just saw a question. I just don't. It's kind of a thing. I saw there's a question. Why did you shave your hair?
Why?
Was
It was
there a
more
specific?
conceptless. I think little X did the sides or wanted to do the sides of his hair, and I allowed him to cut my hair.
Ah,
No questions asked, just absolutely fine. And to support him, just for something different.
yeah,
And yeah, no
perfect,
judgment.
perfect. Um,
He
yeah.
likes it.
So the
He
B12
prefers
is
it.
good, important, and if we were at our optimal state, both location-wise and
Mm,
food-wise, that wouldn't be an issue.
yeah.
Would you
Do you
say,
think?
also, any earth or dirt or call it what you want? What if you took a pinch? You have a ball with some earth, and you take a pinch in your food.
Yeah.
Would it be uh, would
It
it be
depends on the
beneficial?
earth. It depends on the earth. If you look around where we are in England, England is predominantly towns and cities with big countryside, pasture land. Now, all pasture land, let's not say all pasture land. For example, the practices in the UK are the local water systems that people flush their feces away and all sorts of other things go in, and they take this feces and give it to farmers. And you see the farmers spraying on the fields of all the toilet waste. Now, all sorts of things are being eaten and taken by these people and they leak into the soil, for one. Number two is during that practice, you can have bacteria such as E. coli, hepatitis, depending on, you could say the host of the feces.
Mm.
Essentially, you don't want to be washing your food, but modern day food has all sorts of cleaning processes to bring it to you, which is washing off. Due to the nature of the B12 not being absorbed by the plants because the cobalt isn't there to be converted, there's just this whole issue. So if you had an organic garden that has been left, maybe for 20 years, if you didn't buy the house or have the house for a long time, it's good to note. And then you can start to incorporate some of that soil into your food if you wish, But again, if you're having your own food from your own garden, there should be this cobalt in the soil, and you can get things like that tested. But the conversion into B12 will be absorbed by the plants. So plants should be able to contain B12 and you shouldn't need to eat the mud.
Mm. Mm.
But again, when you have the food coming from the commercial purpose realm, you have to wash it so good because you don't want salmonella from a vegetable.
Uh, you know, I can give myself some critique possibly for I'm not probably so as thorough as you are in washing my food. I peel what I can, but something is yeah, I confess. it's it could be put some more effort into the cleaning
Yeah.
probably, or better yet, just get out of here and get to somewhere where we can.
That's all we need to do, really. Just find somewhere where we can have our own food, our own fruit, our own experiences with the soil. Children grow up very happily there. Everybody just becomes more peaceful, and the whole human experience is there. The material world and the physical body has a truth and a falsehood. Every time you lead yourself to the falsehood, you experience a pain body. And what happens with the food system is there's a pain body experience associated when you're not in balance as you should be.
Mm.
There is so many people experiencing so many problems, especially in the last 2 years, that has never experienced things before. We have a lot more people going plant-based. We have a lot more, let's say, requirement for farming practices to grow more. And then we're having these practices depleting the soil further and further and further. So as that's happening, consciousness is rising within inside communities such as ours, where we see there is a great need to create the foods again that we should be consuming. And they will be proper, they will be full of nutrition and heal everything within inside the body. And right now we try to, say, have a bit more magnesium from something like Epsom salts, take your B12 shots, but it wouldn't be necessary in nature. Every fruit itself is fully coated with amino acids, has the right form of glucose, and it should have that macro life inside of it. And this is where we're headed. So
Mm.
don't take it as anyone take it as a negative. It's just something that brings to light an awareness that makes people see some pathway that they can find to a greater experience, greater health, and essentially more
Ho-
happiness.
Hold on 1 second, Josh.
No
Kids.
problem. Wonderful children. So it's just so important that we just recognize if we are feeling lethargic or tired, unwell, no motivation, maybe some tingling. We can just get the blood work done, so we can just see if we're lacking in anywhere and then try to bring remedy to that situation. You could say it's unfortunate, but it's also fortunate to see it and to be able to realize we are in duality. And duality has a double edge. You make the right choice or the wrong choice. And every wrong choice, if observed, it will lead you to a higher awareness to be able to make the right choice. And by making the right choice, you become freer, healthier, happier, in a richer, more abundant state. We have you back there, dear brother.
Yes, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
Yes, we do.
I see there's questions arising in the comments, but I just wanted, I have a few of my own. I just want to get them out of the way, if we may, um, because something in my experience has kind of, I feel it's more, how do you say, cemented, and that's the feeling of, you know, that everything is as it should be.
Mm,
Uh, I can't. Also, we have discussed this before, I know, but I just want to go through it one more time, because my perception and the way I do it, live my life at this moment in time, is that I have this trust. I trust in that everything is okay, everything is perfect. I don't have to spend my time trying to work out what's going to happen. I believe what's going to happen to me, what's meant to happen to me, will happen to me.
mm,
And as long as I, um, am aware, first and foremost, not my mind is running overtime on thinking, that's done. So I feel at least I am, the thoughts I get, I feel is, or I've come to believe, it's the thoughts I get is not mine. First and foremost, it's something I'm given, and I'm given every thought and will to do something that will lead me on the path I'm meant to take.
mm,
You know, and but I have no doubt that you can manifest and envision what you want, and that those things can happen and all those things. But for me, I found more. I didn't have any, let's say, dreams or goals. I feel more. I feel satisfied just going with the flow.
mm.
Um,
That's a vibration that you hold as long as you maintain that vibration because you say, everything I know will be aligned for me. That's actually a resonance in itself, which pulls in that very alignment with you. So when you are at that level of freedom, experiences just come in and synchronize. People start to become aware and awake and start to recognize numbers. These numbers are a recognition that there's a synchronization between what you are perceiving as a person and what's actually going on within the field. See, one identifies as a person with the content, and then the self is of the field. So you can identify with the content or of the field, but you're always of the field, never of the content. Content is a belief or a falsehood. So it's an absolute switch of identification. Instead of identifying with the content of the field, you are actually the field itself, pulling in experiences of that which you are vibrating at. So it's
mm,
very important to know that because of your, you could say, belief or knowing, you're experiencing what's relative to that. If one feels like everything is against them, they're suffering, and they may have addictions to drugs, etc., then the field will present what's necessary for them to see.
mm,
And if they're strong enough to overcome that by taking the right choices, they'll elevate themselves beyond that experience to heighten
mm.
whatever the perceiver is perceiving.
Because it's become a theme, the last week or 1 week and a half with my Norwegian shows. We talk about these things, and and I don't know if I should talk about it or express it to other people, because maybe it's just for me. Maybe it's not, uh, maybe it's not for everyone. I don't know.
People who are ready to hear will hear. And
Yeah,
you should always express yourself honestly because in doing so, you align yourself with others that are on the same
of course. Uh-huh.
vibration as you. It's just a question that arises, but it's only inside your awareness. The mind will say certain things. And it's good to just recognize that you must always be yourself, remain true to who you are, because that's how you align everything to almost perfection until you recognize that everything is perfect by surrendering.
yeah, and I don't know what's kind of what's given me. I felt and I believed that this for a long time, but it's kind of something has kind of nailed the coffin even more, and I
Mm.
feel more secure and I feel more sure. So I feel more
Safe.
safe talking about it. Also, I want to express it. I want to tell other people because it's so easy. I feel it's so easy. It's so.
It's just, you would say it was a slow process of letting go of the concepts and ideas that you had as a person. And the more you can relate to the field, the more it becomes obvious in your nature and you get inclinations. You would say, people say downloads, realizations, revelations. And you just keep attuning yourself to your own experience because it's only through your own experience that you will become free.
Mm,
So instead of following others or looking at others and how they're experiencing things, just be attuned to that which is going on inside. Flow, stay fluid, and hold no judgment. Life will take you on a wonderful ride.
mm,
And always give your intentions to what you believe to be true. Ask for the knowledge. Stand on the soil, look at the sun,
mm,
integrate awareness with it. These things are very real. Like instantaneous manifestation is happening, it's here and now. It happens when you go to sleep. If you're able to control your dreams, you can create very vivid experiences. You can experience months within one sleep, or a whole nother experience in a whole nother place. Meditation, true meditation. How does one fall asleep? Your attention is off physicality every night, and then all of a sudden it disappears. How do you fall asleep? Think about it. The
mm,
attention is off physicality and it's gone.
mhm,
Your attention is so powerful. It's your manifester.
mhm,
It's who you are, your awareness and attention, and all experiences come from inside. You get to create. But the psyche and the psychological aspect of ego has created a split self into a person with inside its dream.
mm,
And you're almost believing, well, people and persons believe that this is life when it's not. It's an experience, and you are life. Everything that is being experienced is seen through yourself. But the mind will say, I am this body, not the one which experiences and sees the experience.
mm, mm.
It's a great contemplation, brother. When you're trying to sleep or you're in bed, how do you sleep? Just ask yourself and bring that into your field and recognize that it's only when the attention is drawn off physicality you actually fall asleep. And then you don't remember how you fell asleep, no matter how long you're trying to sleep. You were not falling asleep until the attention was off, and then you're gone into the dream state, or out from one dream into another. It's who you are.
Would you say would you say that for every being, would you say there's such a thing as a soul contract? Like there's a you made a deal before you got there about something you were supposed to do, or you had a certain purpose, or something to that manner. Would you say that's
It's an
anything to it?
idea which I say is an idea which keeps the ego alive during a spiritual process.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The person will hold the idea to comfort itself in believing that it has something to do that it is doing. So
Mm,
it's like self gratification. It's okay. This is why the ego or the person likes to bring others in when they find certain truths. That the world's flat. Everybody needs to know the world's flat. Everybody needs to know. And that's what you feel like you need to do because you need others.
Mm.
to come with you on this journey because you believe is something external, whether it's flat, round, or square. It makes no difference to the one, but it leads you on a journey of recognizing that everything you've seen with inside the world is a falsehood, but it's purposefully done. How many people woke up in 9/11?
Mm.
Nine, number I or letter I in the alphabet, consciousness. 11, even, twin pillars, left and right. How many people woke up during COVID? Or not woke up fully? How many people seen through the lies, which leads them on another journey? These experiences that we see within inside the world are consistent.
This is another kind of a topic which we have discussed um, on my other shows with other people. That because I ask these people mostly much of the same questions because I'm more interested in their journey, what got them here, what are they experiencing these things, and so it seems to be a lot of them has the conspiracies. It's like a kind of an entry level.
Mhm.
You say that's
Yeah, I mean, most people find themselves, especially within the Western world, recognizing truth from falsehood. So they start to become aware that these things don't make sense. So an awareness starts to manifest. You start to question things, question your reality. And then you start to go on the journey, unveiling truth to realize the truth is non physical. The absolute nature of physicality is an absolute impossibility. Where's the source? And this is the soul. You are the soul or the source of all things. You've never not been them. It was just a belief while one was identifying as a person with a body and mind. Yet seeing the body, mind, thoughts, and all experiences from within. That's why it's so very good in these contemplations when one sleeps and is in a dream and is experiencing within a dream even the sensation of touching others or skin sensations, pins and needles, tingling. People would say goosebumps. You feel like you're there, or so the person feels like he's there, or there feels like there's a person there, but there's no person. It was a dream. This is as real as it gets. So continue on the journey to letting go of all concepts and ideas till you become that.
but in saying that, because I feel that's exactly what I'm doing. I have let go. I don't have any uh, goals,
Mm.
which some people will say is not good. But if one lets go, one don't have a goal, one looks at himself as just going with the flow. But is the flow set? Is it is it is it anything to that you just okay, I will take what will come. I will take with gratitude. uh, I don't know if you understand. The
I
reason I'm
do.
asking is because I'm
It is set to that which you are,
okay. So it
that
can
which you
change.
hold.
It's it,
Absolutely. Absolutely. As
but
you change your experiences, sometimes when you have a slight identification and you may experience a low day and you may feel down and you may think, what's the point? And then the experience is also manifesting in your day. But then you have a positive day and all the beautiful things happen, then you remember that it was only identifying with these negative things that brought negativity to you. But you maintain clean and pure, which is where the virtues come in. And all experiences that you have with inside the physical are attuned to that which you are. Be the change that you wish to see. That's it.
yeah.
We hear it a lot.
Hmm.
We hear be the change you wish to see a lot, but no one
Yeah.
brings a good context to it.
Mm.
But it's out of context, it's energy, it's beyond physicality, it's The more you let go of certain emotional content and ideas, the freer you become. In your freedom comes heightened experiences of pleasure and joy. And this is all the Bible and all these religious texts were trying to speak of. It's God will dwell with you when you let go of your person.
Mm.
You are it. God is another concept.
If if there is, like they say, there's not a leaf that falls off a tree that's not, part of the plan,
Mm-hmm.
of consciousness.
Of course.
Uh, if that is true, then there must also be a plan with each and every being to create the
Yeah.
plan of.
The orchestrated experience, you could say that every individual is attached to the one.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
the experience that we are in, duality, let's say, needs the bad and good. So all of the levels of awareness at this particular time are integrated in such a way that there's pure perfection within inside the world. Everything that is going on inside the world is attuned to that which they need to be and that which you need to see. But you'll notice when you gain a heightened experience that the perception is only focused on the good, the bad start to disappear from your experience. Thus, when you elevate yourself, you elevate the world. The greatest thing that one can do for this plane is to liberate themselves. You don't need to share all this information. You just need to liberate oneself. And the higher energy field that you have has a massive impact on the collective.
mm. Okay, so I'm gonna
If
let
that
that
makes
go.
sense.
I don't know. I guess it's because I feel so good. I feel it all is effortless. There's
Mm.
no bad feelings, bad thoughts, nothing involved in my experience. So I guess that's why I want to express and um, you know try to tell or explain to people how I okay, the journey and where I am and how it's done. Of course, again, I was thinking also maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe there's different. You have
Well,
archetypes and God knows what.
if they're there in front of you, they may listen to you, but they won't hear it. And you may experience, they may experience some yawning, when someone's there, but they're not listening to you. Hello, beautiful.
Hei, hva er du for noe? Hva er du for noe? Du, pappa sitter i møte. Hei, hei. Sorry. Men
Is that a sleepover? You having some friends over?
no, it's the mom and the daughter. This is a friend from the. Uh, I was going to say village, but I don't know if that's the right word. We're on the countryside, and there's just a few houses and everything. So
Ah,
he's just a friend and a kindergarten partner, same age. My
okay.
my daughter and a friend from the city, let's say, now that I'm living on the countryside, is down by the let's say beach, our local bath place with
Nice.
trampoline and everything. Okay, kan dere okay, just say some wise words and I will try to quiet them down a little bit.
You go on, my friend. What a wonderful thing to see everybody. Some children expressing themselves, and it's lovely. Yes, I mean, the nature of consciousness itself is so absolutely perfect. We don't need to try to do anything. We continue to be ourselves. It's all orchestrated in such a way that everything works out for the greatest, as you expressed. And even you having your conversations and sharing what you do, when someone is open, they receive so much.
Mm.
And the
Of,
way that you present things is perfect.
yeah, of course, many will not be on that frequency, let's say, and think I'm crazy, but that's not. Anything new?
Just a thought there, hey? Just
But I'm gonna let that go anyway. But because there's some questions arisen, I just want to do one more thing, because coming from that kind of a, let's say, uh, the way, trust the way. It's what I've tattooed here. Anyway, uh, then if that was so, there can be no coincidences,
mm,
right? So I don't believe in coincidences. I might be wrong. I don't know. But anyway, I feel that there's no coincidences. Anyway, I just wanted you to break down the word coincidences, because is the word, are there no coincidences, or are there misinterpretation of the word itself?
I think I would say coincidences are mistranslated to synchronizations, but it's just a word that's shared around inside the world that you could say is the God's way of remaining anonymous. As there is no man up there controlling things, it is a wonderful divine synchronization.
Lukker du døra, Simon?
But coincidence just means two incidences. So it just means there's an incident and an incident. It doesn't relate any type of relationship to them being the same. I think it's the word we've interpreted. But to co is to see void, which is where you should join. But we could say join inside. So the word itself has multiple array of like interpretations and meanings.
Okay.
To co inside once. Once is like a nuance or a seance or a sentence. It's a frequency and vibration, a set to that which it is. But to coincide is telling you to join inside. So when one observes a coincidence, the attentiveness of the word is telling you to join inside, see inside.
Okay.
Okay. Consciousness ended sight of consciousness form. Consciousness has ended seeing consciousness form. So essentially, I would say truly, because I say this word is more of a more recent interpretation of another word. It's your awareness has stopped seeing the true awareness. So you're then perceiving this consciousness to be external and married. So it would be one has lost the true nature of their own self and they're observing physicality as a random occurrence, you could say, when it's not. You look inside, coincide, and see the vibration or see the frequency. So simply a modern word has been misinterpreted as a true divine synchronization, as two incidences, and you've lost the sight of your awareness to the true nature of things. Because all things external are actually happening from the internal. As the dreamer dreams, chicken, egg, first man, impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm possible.
Because we use the word as something that happens by chance, and it was lucky,
Hmm.
or yeah, whatever you want to.
Lucky in the word itself is Luck, and then Y is choice. And the L is the 12th letter, which is to twine the L's, but it's a circle, so it's one set void. You see balance. So the L or the void that you are, you shall see balance. That's luck. And then Y means choice, either side. So you have the choice of your luck when you are balanced. And that's why K is the 11th letter in the alphabet, because it represents these twin pillars of the mind. You build up both and you sit right in the middle and collapse. And you recognize that things are an expression from within. You
Hmm.
are the self identifying as the field, not as the content. It's all fortune, my friend. It's all fortune.
For tuning. Huh. Um, we can go to the questions maybe. Just as we were having the whiteboard up, organic intelligence. Good day. Asked
Hmm.
if you could do the word intelligence as well, as we were on the topic of breaking down
You
words.
got the answer at the end again.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence is in T, which is in physical, EL, and then intel, consciousness of the seven. So, two ways to interpret this simply is in your physical, in T, EL, which is the right side. And then consciousness and G represents the seven, which is the colors, which represents the projection of the realm. And then you have INT, which is consciousness ending and moving towards physicality from the ether of these double L of consciousness in the seven color spectrum. So I would say the best way to interpret intelligence is it's found within inside your physical, but within inside the etherical aspect. It's not the intellect. The intelligence is coming from, you would say, the field being brought into physicality. That's why after that you have the consciousness and the G. Probably better if I show the whiteboard. It might be going far and beyond uh, the true interpretation of what I'm trying to say. But it's something in the physical which is being expressed from EL, which is L, which is, you would say, the root Sanskrit word for God, intel.
Intel
In
is the root Sanskrit word for God.
L,
Elia, yeah.
EL. And we find EL by liberating AL, or the ego itself, manifesting this EL, which is the etherical brain, which would be the true form of intelligence.
Hmm.
The union of the hemisphere while we are here, until we even realize that the hemisphere was a concept within inside ourselves as well. It's all for experience, heightened awareness.
Very nice. Let's see what we have to deal with. Colin Brady says, back to the B12. I've been eating fruit since last March 21. So, yeah, good year. And some months. When I went for blood work a few months ago, my B12 was very low. I take B12 shots now. Okay, good. There wasn't a question really, but next one is a question. What about calcium intake?
Calcium.
Calcium.
Everybody should be getting enough calcium because most of the population are having salt.
Salt.
And this is the thing, salt itself and too much is no good. Salt and not enough is no good. So you need to be very balanced with it. But if one does get their blood work done, especially you'd look for like the electrolytes here, you just can only be sure by either feeling absolutely on top of the world. If one's feeling quite subtly drained, or they may have cramping, it's good to look at your levels while we are here in Babylon.
Mm.
And that's the only true way you're going to really find out. Certain other minerals and supplements like vitamin D. If you're taking supplementation of vitamin D, it can drop your calcium. So you might need to take some calcium or juice, let's say some celery, which has high calcium content in it, just to counteract that. But essentially, if we were all organically incorporating ourselves with the earth, everything should be taken care of naturally,
Mm.
always. It's
I
just
agree.
leading us closer to that point of perception. If we have other beings on a similar journey, Why live in a cold climate or a climate that you can't be at your true health with neighbors on the same street that you don't communicate with or have any relationship with, yet they're very close, or they're next door, or you might live in apartments, when you can utilize everything that you have with others to try to co-create a space. And I think that's so important, to communicate with others on a similar journey as yourself, see if there's anything you both can do or you all can do to improve the very experience. Because it can be done so simply. Gas bills, water bills, electric bills. In England, you probably pay per year enough for 12 to 13, 14 solar panels on your heating bill or water bill alone.
Mm.
And then you think about your electricity bills, gas bills. If everybody was just working together, these things could be made
What's
so
your
efficiently. Yes,
You know, we hear a lot about free energy devices. Is there such a thing?
of course.
Yes. So where is
Yeah.
it?
It's everywhere around us, dear brother.
Yes.
It's a magnetic field. So
Yes.
if one's looking for true free energy, it's going to be found in something called vortex mathematics. So they're replicating a torus, something they call their seven color torus map. And it's very incredible. Very incredible. I think Mark Rodin has a very good model and a working model, and his fellow uh, associate that he taught mastered everything from flying machines to free energy to perpetual motion to new engines to everything you could ever think of can be done through this technology. It has been done, always been done. Why do you think so many UFO sightings are out there? It's not aliens, just technology that the common,
Zero gravity.
yeah, absolutely. Even ancient Indians had it. They
Exactly.
were called Brahmanas. They call it like gyroscopic, which would be, related to like torus field, and they used to use mercury. And
Then it has to be quite really, quite simple, right?
it's the most simplest, yeah.
Yeah.
But where they bring it to light is, copper wire in a certain direction, creating the same field and geometry as a torus field, and then put an electrical current.
I've heard that, by my friend Tormod, which you no, you haven't met actually, but the guy who wrote the book Powered by Nature
Uh-huh.
and has this course and everything. He told me that uh, actually all as we know them, all electrical engines, all these copper, they're actually uh, entwined. They could be entwined in another way that would be more efficient.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. They done even the car engine, they basically created a resistance inside of the engine, so it would use more fuel. I mean, the first engines, I mean, even if you look at the first cars that were built, they were electric. You even had wind up cars, you had steam cars, you had all these types of things. Um, and the batteries themselves went very far on some of these cars, very far that they can't really replicate today. But
Strange.
they could. They could replicate, or one could replicate them, but it's not commercially viable.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where you need to get out of the shareholders and corporate nature, start bringing things to the people, for the people, via private trust companies, because that's how it's going to all change.
Did you ever cross paths with those old carburetors which heated the gas?
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't think I've had any
No, it's
experience.
probably 100 years old. It
Oh,
it
okay.
it actually heated the gas, so it turned into so you're actually running on fumes
Okay.
and very 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 efficient.
No, there was it Stanley Mayer who
The
invented a,
hydrogen car, right?
yeah, simply. And there have been some other cars that run off 1 or 2 liters of fuel would take them a very far away. And now you can see the transition within inside the world are offering some sort of hydrogen, but you'll be paying for hydrogen when it's made from water vapor, electrolysis, isn't it? You put electrolysis in water, and they've always told you don't mix water with electricity, but you do, and you get hydrogen.
I actually have a friend who kind of an inventor. I think I probably once talked to you about this. He has something called medvac, which is, you put your arm or your leg into a contraption and it sucks and push, also pulls and also vacuum and pressure
Uh-huh.
and creates circulation. So it's actually astonishing what they have made with that machine. That's another thing. But they actually made a machine. I'm going to actually not tell you that, or not on the air, because it's kind of sensitive. But I
Okay.
will discuss it later. Anyway, very very interesting. I can tell. Sorry to leave you guys hanging.
To wait till
But
it's physically here.
huh?
To wait until it's physically brought into manifestation.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, it's yeah.
This is where everything will come in. Medicine, healing, it's down to magnetic fields, magnetism. Magnetic healing is truly found. One, obviously, you're a magnetic field Taurus, this physical aspect, and it only becomes attuned when you are centered. And
Mm,
then there's a level of freedom and a higher frequency. But the magnetic resonant healing, truly done, would remedy all ailments. It would put the body back into perfection and alignment. And that's what the field is. It's perfection in itself.
mm.
But these three energy devices that have been around and conceptualized. Did you see that man who boiled water with a resonance device, and he wouldn't share it because he knew the corporations would buy it off him and just not bring it to light, and then he passed away. But you see this story time
How
and time and
convenient.
time again. Yeah, and a resonance will do anything. You can fling or ding a glass and match the resonance and crack it. It's
I've seen something, probably something similar. They bent metal, or just morphed metal with some kind of resonance device.
mm. So Tesla was obviously very acute to this type of inventions, and he created a resonance device, and he shook down, well, not shook down buildings, but shook buildings, and he said that he could split the earth in two if you matched resonance, which
Mm,
is
mm, mm,
something which is plausible and very possible when you match the resonance of anything. Certain bridges have caught a slight wind that's been a regular wind, and the pattern became very matched with the bridge's resonance, and it will collapse. Yeah, it was built to
yeah.
so many
It's
things.
crazy when you see that just starting to act like Jello, a big
Yeah,
monstrous bridge. Just it's
but
uh,
you must have yourself. You must have seen quite a few works on the cymatics. Have you studied cymatics?
I can't say that I have.
You probably have seen videos where they have like a frequency device where they can change frequencies, and like a bed of sand where they're bringing up
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
different sacred geometry and the shapes.
Can I just before you go? Can I ask a question regarding that? It said that I believe it was the some I don't know if it's Sanskrit or if it was Hebrew or whatever it was, but that the alphabet or kind of the um, the writings of the different letters was the sound. When you did the sound of the
Uh,
letter had. Okay, I'm getting it backwards probably, but
I feel you. I
yeah.
feel you.
Okay, then probably you can explain it.
But you would say the base root words is the you say om, yeah.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
don't have a tongue, you can't create the shapes, and all you can make is ah. These are the sounds. These are the base words of creation. The tongue and the way that you accentuate these vibrations, they become, you see, multi resonance. So there's a base frequency, which can only be done, and then you can manipulate that frequency. So maybe that was what you were talking about. But the shapes, I have never seen the alphabet that would create these geometrical shapes, such as the ones that you can see by tuning it to 432 and 540, etc. Um, Not in my own experience. I haven't seen that. But the
Mm.
power's there. That's the true power. If there's any inventors, to just focus your time and attention on the Taurus field. and vortex mathematics and start playing with copper and electricity, and you'll see that electricity doesn't really run through the wires, it runs around it as a field.
Mm.
It's so incredible, but it's so simple. If you are tuned to that type of investigations with your own experience, one can learn things very quickly,
I
very
believe
quickly.
it's kind of in um, getting out there in the mainstream also, that the if electricity causes magnetism, will magnetism cause electricity?
Yeah, of course.
So that's kind of the first question, probably, and then we can take it from there.
But they are, and you can see the mainstream world, they're talking about magnetic fields very differently now. And even the Hadron Collider and things like this, where they were trying to create a black hole, was a big magnetic device.
Mm.
Black holes always exist at the center of a magnetic field, always. This is where the 0 point energy is. This is the dielectric field. It's pure balance in itself. Anything balanced creates light, life, or plasma. Plasma is energy, the whole energy and fabric of this existence. Those two energies that are reciprocating the positive and negative, masculine and feminine, create that dielectricity.
Mm.
You've got the inertial plane, and all existence is existing on the inertial plane. But that inertial plane has been created as an internal manifestation from the one. So even that is non-physical and it's not true. The field itself, you could say the field of magnetism was also created inside the one.
I have actually a question regarding plasma. I have a list. uh, but it's yeah, how much of the universe is plasma?
Every last drop,
Okay, okay, that question is answered.
everything,
So
everything
so
is a plasma.
our we are plasma. Our energy field is plasma. It's all plasma.
Plasma. Yeah, but then you can conceptualize within inside of that, but everything is fundamentally born from plasma.
Hmm.
The moon is a plasma, everything's a plasma. And it's only because of plasma, P, L, the light of L as Ma or as the M balance. It's all because of this M, the golden arches, the field reciprocating of the energy, boom, expressing that. And that expression is physicality, and all things physical come from the plasma.
Hmm.
That the light that's discharged from the polarities when they touch is life physically, and it comes from non-physicality. And even the concept of the torus field has a 0 point, has a nothingness, and all of the field has come from the nothingness. But then that nothingness and the field came from the one, and it was brought into manifestation for the experience. The consciousness itself manifests the field, because in the beginning was the word. Who spoke the word?
Hmm.
And VOD, and the word was God. Now G is 7, O is a void, and D is form, so it's the seven voids of form, which comes to the seven color torus map, or torus, which is the field, which all content arises within the physical experience on the inertia plane. But that's why the earth has to be a plane. That's why it's spelled plane T,
Hmm.
because it's a physical plane. All planets are wandering stars in the sky. That's what I think the Greek translation is, wandering star, and the rest of the stars are fixed. So if planets are truly suns that we see, but existing underneath the sun in the realms are all planes, all the physical planes. That's why all the water is conforming and becoming level, because if it was a ball, it would all fall off.
Hmm. Yeah, it's quite logic actually.
Yeah. You have an error plane. The plane is,
Yeah.
and again, our sun is very obviously not very far away, far enough away for us not to be tangibly touching it, but perceiving it through clouds and looking at the geometry, trigonometry is the one that I show you that is not very far away. But
Mm.
it's a concept that we can fall trapped to, you know. It is what it is, but it's also very good to set yourself free because that is probably one of the greatest obvious lies that's ever been told.
The ball Earth.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Is it
absolutely.
also who was the first one coming up with that concept of the
Copernicus.
Copernicus?
Yeah. And I think it was around the 16. I mean, of course, it's been a long time since these concepts came past me, but yeah, I think it's Nicholas or Nicola Copernicus. And then same time that that was brought into experience, you know, the modern day map came in, the globe Earth, and then all of these concepts started to die. But all religions before that knew. You know, they even had depictions of trees with a plane on it, and obvious that all trees, or the tree of life, needed to be for Earth to be.
Just had a questionable connection here, but I think we're good.
Okay,
Uh,
let me put my
Probably people
device.
will let us know if we are having issues with
Should be better.
broadcast.
Should be better. But if one has not come to the realization of that, it's a must in breaking free from matrix ideas, you know, that everything is fine and listen to what the mainstream says, because it's all illusion. It's all a set system for the hive mind to experience like full separation from knowing itself. The media is through, like the medium. Daya is through gnosis. Knowledge is through gnosis, and me, Daya, is through me.
Mm.
That's what builds so many perceptions here.
Mm.
You have a hive perception.
But it's and this is where I have an issue with everything, or not the issue, but the
Anyway,
separation. The we have everything that's going on creates separation between the beings on this plane. Be it Pride, be it Ukraine, be it whatever it is, and we never seen such a level of separation. So, and if we're going into the age of Aquarius with the God consciousness and all these things, is it just because it's getting worse because it's always darkest before dawn? Is it what's
yeah, it
going on?
has to be to wake others up because
Mm.
you only believe that if you're involved in that high believer mentality because you and I and others, you know, there's no racism unless you've brought the concept of racism.
Mm.
Black lives matter, all lives matter. You know, these concepts here, they just create, you know, some people that are not necessarily aware, aggravation inside their self, which should hopefully lead them on to a realization that they are the source of their unhappiness. And all they need to do is slightly attune their perception to become happier and let go of the ideas because they're fed to you in that matrix. And that matrix is what will free many people. It is absolute perfection. Just as we had this experience for the last 2 or 3 years with the common flu, common cold, common flu, but it was brought to light and made to be something it wasn't. I know that so many people that weren't necessarily aware of the mainstream being the opposite of the truth has now realized it has. And you see that tube, Y tube, has so much sensitivity to certain material that it's hard to actually find the material that was there that woke people up 10 years ago. So it's leading to other platforms, and consciousness itself has opened up a new place as uncensored, decentralized, which is, you know, for one, awake me. going to be a place that's going to be able to allow freedom to be able to manifest again, for others to have higher recognitions. But you see, it's perfect. It's the order that comes from the chaos, and the chaos is inside of yourself.
What you just said now kind of brought to life something I thought about um, before, which I forgot again as quickly as it came.
Don't try to grab it because it'll be handed back to you.
Yes.
You let go, it comes straight back.
Okay, let's see. Uh, EST uh, sends love and light. Thank you, and we will send some in return. Your thoughts on ayahuasca and probably those kind of tools.
It's a great opener for one who hasn't seen the true nature of themselves. You have an insight into the way your consciousness is very malleable, very flexible, but very rigid in the person. The person has no idea of the true nature. The electromagnetic spectrum is, I think, like 2% of what's actually there. One perceives physicality, but all physicality, as I've stated so many times, is it's actually non-physical. So when you break that paradigm and you see it, some people do ayahuasca quite regularly, or even DMT, the dimethyltryptamine, which basically dissolves the identity of the ego. When they come back, they don't necessarily find themselves being happy because they haven't had the journey, they haven't dealt with the emotions, the demons, etc. And they realize that they're not real here, and they don't really want to be here because they've seen something that's so far greater. And they find that you say psychosis happens, depression, etc. So this is why it's a good way to, if you're doing it, just have the odd experience, but also recognize these things yourself. Revelations after revelations. Take the journey, apply the truth, live by virtues, watch the experience.
Mm.
It will absolutely change you. You know that you can manifest things near instantaneously within inside the physical realm just by holding intention and attention to that. You'll grow beyond this. You have an absolute transformation inside the psyche where you'll be able to read thoughts, hear thoughts, predict situations happening. It's just a part of growing.
Since all this energy and going into an ayahuasca ceremony, with other beings which have their issues,
Mm.
because I've done it, I've done it 2 times. One was a 1 day ceremony, the other one was a 3 day ceremony.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly what happened regarding. Also, for me, nothing happened actually. Also, there was no visions, there was no feelings, there was no just nausea because this shaman was had this mindset to get me where I was supposed to go, or where I don't know where anyone is supposed to go anywhere actually. It's said that you get what you need. But
Mm.
anyway, I drank a lot of ayahuasca. He gave me many cups just to see if there was like a if I was to break some kind of wall, let's say, right? But again, nothing happened. But that's okay. But what I did sense, and I'm gonna ask you what your thoughts about it is that would you say in a circle of people lying around doing ayahuasca, will there be kind of a this is just a theory, because what I did happen was that I kind of in the time after this ceremony, I felt a bit lower than I was. I was feeling better before than I was after, without having any special thing happening. But other people, on the other hand, was crying because the next day, we had the circle and we shared what happened and what we felt and everything, and people got away from that, stopped drinking, stopped doing drugs, lots of, let's say, uh, big things.
Mm.
But would you say it's the can it be like the energy among these people just kind of balances out, or the ones feeling good are giving some energy to the ones feeling less good, and there's kind of a so some will get out of it feeling less good, and some of them will get out feeling better.
Do you mean that the field of everyone will have an impact on each other?
Yeah. The,
Yeah, if they are impactable.
Papa?
Yeah, also if the field is impactable by other things or other energies, then you'll find yourself being unstable. But you can remain unaffected just by disassociating yourself from identity or identifying with your physical nature. You'll find that you can be free from even physical pain itself. So there's an art to it. We've lost you, by the way, brother. You're on mute.
yeah. I don't know. What's happened there. It's just uh, me and my friend, because we have both very similar. Let's say similar results.
Hmm.
No big experience, like, but probably there can be expectations involved. You think you're going to meet some aliens or whatever, and then
But
nothing
you're quite
happens.
a big man, aren't you? You're very tall. So you may have just been underdosed because there'll be a point where you completely get blown out,
I'm pretty
obliterated
sure
by.
not, because this shaman had never given so much ayahuasca to anyone before ever. So it's like the other people took like normal is like 3 cups.
Ah,
If you want, people take one. Some are happy with one. I think the one day I started earlier than the others, an hour earlier, and I did I think 8 or 9 cups this one evening or night.
mm.
What did happen is that I puked a lot because I got nauseous and puked. And okay, maybe I purged. Maybe that's what's needed.
When did you do it, brother? Were you big? Were you muscular at the time?
No, it was after my kind of sorry.
No problem.
Let me turn off I wasn't that big, no.
No.
Probably let's say 100 kilo, probably.
If you're looking for the experience, you're probably better off having some DMT because it only lasts 8 to 10 minutes rather than hours and hours on the trip. But you know
Mm.
instantly when you're going to reach that peak.
I tried that as well, and nothing is left untried.
Nothing. Had the last.
But and that was kind of more intense for a shorter period of time, and yeah. But I just came to the some people who've done it a lot say that kind of you got to stage 2. Let's
Yeah.
say stage 3 is where you kind of break, and you I don't know what happened, or if you go somewhere, or if you feel like you perceive to have interactions and whatever. So for me, the it was mostly like uh, seeing geometry
Hmm.
and colors and kind of just everything, just you know it was quite what it did is that it really gave me this sense of that it all is connected, that all is one. This is maybe most profound what I took away from exactly that experience, at
Yeah.
least.
I think, people tend to want to know more, so they tend to dive into this type of usage, and it does help some people, but some people that aren't ready to do it, I don't think, spiritually ready to understand the truth, it's not necessarily a good thing. But someone such as yourself, I think it would benefit you greatly.
I would say
Same with
for me,
meditation, real meditation, really lucid meditation.
yeah, I'm looking forward to you teaching me that one day, because I meditate a lot, but and it's helped me a lot. I know that. But this like what you were talking about, maybe this vipassana, for 10 days or something like that would be very interesting to try
Focus
one.
on what I said earlier, let go of physicality, and then be vivid in your yourself and play with bringing into fruition certain shapes and forms and beings, and you'll learn that you can craft, and then you can start to create your dreams, experience dreams. And sometimes, if one is a master practitioner, you don't need to sleep because you're consistently experiencing through yourself realms, worlds.
For me personally, I would say the psilocybin has been the one that's helped me the most. If I, at least that's my perception or feeling, that the mushrooms is the one that's uh, definitely given me most. If I compare those kind of
Do
tools.
you trip long on those? Does it last a while?
Well, this one
No.
yogi that's been handling these sessions is he has this MAO inhibitor, so that will probably pull it up to like 6 to 8 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Say
Okay.
something wise.
You just let it happen, my friend. Psychedelics, as we're on the subject of it, try not to conceptualize it. See that there's a lot of misguided evidence from them being quite toxic, such as mushrooms or the Amanita muscaria mushroom that you see in all the Mario type of cartoons or games. And if someone's looking to go deep into it, just take your time, never go off anyone else's doses, and introduce it into yourself slow and steady. Um, take the experiences with a form of protection and know before you go in that you will always be safe no matter what happens. But most people will always find something beneficial from it. If people aren't ready for the experiences, they may have some fear arise. But again, the fear is just a concept. So if you can overcome that during the process, you tend to purge these emotional instabilities that can cause a separation and make one not have the revelation and realization that they can never die. So these experiences can help you come to that recognition inside yourself that there is no death. There is just a conceptual death, and that would be of the ego itself. So the ego can die, but the self is forever and will always remain forever in the blissful state of perfection, the instantaneous manifester of all realities, all personas and personifications. And you have the power. Go back to your true nature. Mushrooms. I looked at the etymology once, maybe 10, 15 years ago, and mushroom was like opening an inactive doorway. There was opening a inactive neural pathway which allows you to see a greater experience. I've never had the pleasure of any type of psychedelic, but I've chatted to many people who have, and that experience there is can be found and will be found in the journey of one, finding yourself with ego death, having the Kundalini experience, and then integrating yourself back into reality as such can take some time. But
But I believe, at least I believe, that it's kind of it's shouldn't it be looked at as a tool? For me, I don't have any pull towards doing it anymore. It's because kind of it was in my experience. I did it. I tried some different things. Now I feel I'm not saying I'm never gonna do it again, because it can be a very good and profound experience. But I don't feel that calling, let's say, as I had once had.
they have their purpose, absolutely. There was many religious, you say, almost cults, the mushroom cult, where they used to wear the hat, and It was very much used as a tool of realization, just like cannabis can be used. But when cannabis is used on a regular basis, you kind of get desensitized to that effect. But a lot of people can really truly break through on cannabis when it's used in a high dose, and find themselves having these psychedelic experiences. But I will say that cannabis itself is non-conducive to mind control. So utilizing cannabis on a journey regular will help one see through the lights. That's why most people who have a certain type of energy, a certain type of knowing what's going on, tend to be the users of cannabis. But it will take one so far, not all the way.
Mm.
So moderation. The true Rastafarians say you should have as much time off of it as you do on. So if you have a week on, you should have a week off, or every other day, etc. And it does bring profound revelations, puts you in a state of meditation, you know, but it also brings you to a plane of thought as well, where you're contemplating a lot of ideas that are inside the psyche too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Would you recommend, also if someone was very knowledgeable and skilled in making different oils, like THC, CBD mixture, different strains, all these things, would you rather recommend, if one should recommend, like vaping the oils, or making the J's?
Aromatherapy, true aromatherapy is as such as that. People would put in like a steam chalice. Have you heard of a steam chalice?
I've heard, probably by you mentioning that word, but I
Yeah.
can't say I know exactly. I don't
Well,
see it before me when you say.
it's like a clay kochi is called, where you'd have hot coconut shells in the bottom,
Uh-huh.
sorry, at the top, and in the bottom through like a gauze, you would have your cannabis,
Okay.
and maybe you might find some lavender or something, orange peel, and they would suck through, and it would pull the vapor off of it. But this is the true aromatherapy. So that way, there's no, you say, burning or carcinogen going through the system, and you're getting a more complex cannabinoid system or a more complex cannabinoid profile, um, better flavor. You won't find yourself feeling the same as you do when you're burning it, but this is what the more natural effect is. So I would say, yeah, steaming is great. Vaping is the modern day version of that. It's more beneficial for you. Absolutely.
Have you heard about hydroponics? I know you probably heard about, but have you heard about aeroponics?
Aeroponics. I don't think so, but I may know the concept. Tell me.
No, it's actually kind of a way to grow weed, or marijuana, and it's kind of taking aeroponics a step further. It's just kind of, I'm no expert. I just heard it explained by a friend,
Hmm.
uh, and there are. It's actually just, how I came to understand it is like it's the plants are, connected to kind of a tube, with the kind of the root system. Nothing, no water, no earth, nothing, and it's kind of just sprayed with a mixture of whatever this plant wants,
Uh-huh.
with the right intervals. It's just like a shower of nutrients, let's say.
Hmm.
So there's no earth, there's no water, there's water in this mix it gets.
Yeah.
And apparently it should, multiple of times, up the yield, and also the time it takes to grow. And I
I
believe it was
think
actually four or five times the speed.
think about this. If you were disconnected from the earth yourself, inflammation happens. There's a reason why the earth is called earth, the ground, is we're electrical and we need to be earth and grounded. Plants themselves will obviously grow better with the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the field. Being disconnected from that, albeit maybe growing slightly bigger, is probably due to the profile of certain additives with there. So, I would say there's nothing better than full organic outdoor cannabis, marijuana, CBD. Nothing will ever beat that. It would be like saying food. If someone was growing food in the tubes and were feeding it certain things what it needs, allow it to take what it needs from source because it needs bacteria, it needs all these things. And I think that would be the best way to grow it. Um, and helping people with seizures, CBD is essential in a higher capacity with a smaller THC. So between sort of 7 and 20% THC, not percent THC. I should say. Let's say if you had a CBD flower and you had some THC flower and you were trying to create a good medicine for yourself, you would use maybe 10 grams or 8 grams, 8.5 grams, 9 grams, testing on your own individual uh, acceptance of it with maybe 1.5, 2 grams of the THC flower, making an oil or decarboxylating it and putting it in your food or some ballies or whatever you would do as a dose. You'll find when you hit the sweet spot, the seizures will no longer continue. You can get yourself off commercial medication and start to go on a protocol to try and reverse and de or remove these heavy metals. The terminology left me, but we need to get rid of these heavy metals in the system through fruit journeys, fasting, and allow the time with no expectations to suffer.
I wish there was a way you can persuade beings to. I'm of course thinking about my mom, which has cancer,
Uh-huh.
some kind of bone marrow cancer, and she was, she went through not radiation but chemo,
Uh-huh.
a certain chemo variant that didn't help. So now she's going to go through another one, more strong, of course, more expensive. Anyway, uh, she, of course, I have told her what we believe, but she doesn't. It's even now getting the message that it was kind of not it was kind of a aggressive type, but not willing to try a
Yeah,
water fast or.
yeah. There's great studies out there where people have fasted during their experiences with chemotherapy, and when they have chemotherapy and fast, they don't feel nausea, they don't lose their hair. So say they fasted the day before rather than eat. Every time they had chemotherapy, the effects that chemotherapy does when one's not fasted are far greater. So they would have loss of hair, nausea, etc.
Okay, so you're saying if I can get her to fast, water fast the day before she goes to chemo, that will be beneficial.
Much better for her. You'll find
Wow.
she doesn't get the associated side effects of it as well. But if she's open to, certain things, megadose and vitamin C at that stage, if she doesn't necessarily want to, take the lifestyle on board, cannabis oil is going to be great for it, help the apoptosis and death of the cells. Um, and then if she was open and up for taking a full blood count, then you can see other areas that she may be lacking. Yeah, ascorbic acid or vitamin C in a high dose is something that's very beneficial. And then if you can adopt like a plant-based lifestyle, then that's going to be the best.
I had her going for a while, and she's kept some of it.
But, if it's stage 4 or stage 3, then it's really down to the individual. They have to be prepared to go through some extensive fasting and certain protocols and not try to focus on anything. Alleviating thoughts is going to be another thing to do to aid in the healing, stop the anxiety or depression that may be associated with knowing that someone has cancer. That's why all the I don't know if you have it in your country, but cancer research, they cancer see answer, and they say together we'll save lives. but it never said that they'll save lives. So it's trying to say, you need to do it as well. You need to find out the true source. You need to find out how to be able to bring remedy to this. But there's so many things these days, you know. Um, I think a lot of people had some good experiences with ivermectin and fenbendazole as well with cancer treatment. Um, Veterinary drugs there, and I think a couple of podcasts with Joe Rogan recently. One of the drugs works with COVID as well. But these
I heard.
things, sorry, Karen.
No, no. I just wanted to say I've heard that as well. Um, in with our ivermectin, that it has have shown positive results in cancer,
Yeah, okay.
and of course the flu, and always possible. Also, what would you say? Would you Is there kind of a does the ivermectin kind of shock alkalize your body, or what's
Like
going
an
on?
anti-parasitic thing. So
Antiparasitic.
yeah, so candida, these things are the cancers are the hosts inside, and that's what's causing the ailment. So if you can bring remedy to that, even like chronic immune responses and immune diseases, you can bring remedy to, killing or culling the bacteria, protozoa or fungus, which is the true problem, but not the rooted problem, because the root is the consumption, the lifestyle. Or if you're, for example, a sprayer, people start spraying cars, for example, without masks, they start to have indigestion, breathing, and then they continue this, and then something such as that can have a significant effect on your well-being and health. Obviously, thoughts can, suffering, stress, but the most of the problems within humanity would be remedied 85% of the time if they just adopted a plant-based lifestyle.
Mm.
You always keep your mother in our hearts, and at that stage, if she's open, you can try so many things, um, just to see if they will, benefit her alongside her choices.
I'm definitely gonna run by her that fasting a day before every chemotherapy, and then let's just see. I have pushed it as far as I can, to the point where she's actually crying.
Mm.
Not in a mean way, but she's of course has having to deal with the fact that she has cancer, on top of me saying that don't take the
Yeah,
norm, also the drugs. Your
yeah. People can get really, really offended even by saying that someone can be cured of something. So you just got to do it, and it's all done with love, I know. So it's a learning curve for you as well, especially with someone such as close as your mother. You can only do so much, and remember, it is the journey of themselves. They're going through exactly what they need to go through. So try to use it as a time to learn and grow yourself.
Let's do a question or two, because it's quite a few here, and of course time is also maybe running out. Let's see. Um,
Look into MMS as well, brother. Just the miracle mineral solution. See if she's open to something like that. For the
miracle
drops.
miracle mineral solution.
Yeah, you can make it yourself. There's some kits online. Um, you may know it as MMS. You, probably enough videos on YouTube. You'll probably find people that reverse their cancers with it. It's quite good at many different things.
Just writing it down.
Yeah, being like in this position, it's hard to sort of tell people to do these things, but bringing them out into light is allowing people to just take their own research. But I'd still, number one for me in the experience, seeing people remedy is through the things they're putting into their mouth
Mm.
or not putting into the mouth, fasting appropriately, properly. And one thing before we do go is make sure that before you fast, you have a good level of electrolytes, vitamin B12, B complex, etc. So it might be a good idea to get your blood work done because sometimes fasting can, drop excess minerals or maybe some more minerals than you have. And if you're low on certain things, then it may make them lower. So it's good to just make sure you have a built-up storage before.
Hmm.
Vitamin C as well. If you maybe you might be able to convince her to look at megadose of vitamin C. Dr. Leonard Caldwell, if I can remember rightly, I
What would you say is a megadose? Just
think that's between 10 and 30,000 micrograms of vitamin C. Um, but there was a doctor, I think he's a German doctor, very tanned man, Dr. Leonard Caldwell. Have a look into him. He tells people that through his experience, like cancer can be cured in minutes, let alone days and weeks by
what did you say his name
utilizing
was? Sorry,
Leonard Caldwell.
not Cohen.
Yeah, Leonard Caldwell. And he wants people to try and adopt a plant-based lifestyle as well. But megadose and vitamin C has worked very well for a lot of his patients.
Cold, Cold,
Caldwell.
Coldwell.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we spoke about B12 earlier, it's not going to just be B12. So we just check, see what we can do for each and every one of us. And a part of this journey, I know people that, you know, have had B12 deficiency, and because they're on that spiritual mindset, a set mind with a concept that one is spiritual, they're not actually going to utilize the things within inside the matrix, such as B12 injections, when they're at such a low level, is causing neuropathy. And they're not having any sensations and things like this. And because they want to go the natural way, well, it's all good going the natural way, very good going the natural way. But don't hold that concept in you and let it be your downfall because things are as they are because they are needed. But if you can get it your natural way, I suggest, trying to bring that to your fruition now before you may need to have any sort of supplementation. Get your garden ready, look after the soil, give it what it needs, and take small bits of your soil, put it inside your dinner.
There was a question here, and that's actually also because the combo and the Irish sea moss and those things, those are they giving you some B vitamins?
They should be giving you a lot of things that you need, a lot of things you need.
Yeah.
Um, all the vitamins and minerals, and one of the main things is iodine, because the reason why salt was iodized is because everybody was lacking iodine. So they were experiencing goiters and a low functioning thyroid. Um, so yeah, I mean, it can only benefit you. But if you don't know how to dose it, we've got a video on our website how to make kombu, um, and I suggest you taking a look at that. Otherwise, you just boil it and allow it to um, fill up maybe 20, 30 ice cubes. Keep it for a month. Have one ice cube a day. If you're doing both, you can boil them both together. If you don't have much kombu, you can blend the kombu, but it's very powerful in its iodine. So if you're going to blend it, I suggest making sure you can kind of dose it right. If you're not blending it, an ice cube with about 500 ml of water should be fine. So 500 ml of water remaining from boiling up maybe 200 grams of kombu, and then putting that water into ice cubes, put them in the freezer, and taking one a day will be suffice.
That would cover you if you're like you're not if you're not deficient in
Yeah,
the get go.
somebody who's having thyroid disorders may need to find their own balance. So they should, play about with it while they feel right if they're trying to come off medication. Sometimes people need very, very high doses of it. Somebody who's experiencing like goiters of the neck, you see that there's like a butterfly shaped thyroid gland here. It'll swell up, become fatty, yes, and they used to be, out here.
I've
Um,
seen those.
you can just one ice cube a day. I've seen reduction in like 2 days, and then it just go down to the unseeable, um, just from combo.
from combo.
just
Hmm.
from content.
Are you up for a few questions? If you just try to make the answers short.
Yeah.
Let's see. I just Alan D has a question. He says, "Our 16-year-old sees us eating whole food, plant-based, and mainly fruit for me. However, she only eats white bread, pasta, cheese, ice cream, etc. Should we continue to buy these foods for her, knowing it's poison? Is it abuse on our part?"
Is she living in your house? And
Probably.
if you are buying them from your own pocket, then it would be good to moderate them. You can't really cut someone off from something when they're of that um, age, identifying with what they do. But I think just through slow and steady incorporation of other things, it will be more beneficial. Obviously, if you choose to cut them off, then she will have to have an experience of the food that you're providing. Um, but trying to change someone so late in the game, it may cause an adverse effect on relationships. But they say tough love. So if you truly love her, you try to do what's best for her, even if you have recognized it a bit later on. Um, be strong, be loving, be kind in your approach, and don't get affected by what comes back to you because
Mm.
it's not said from the heart.
I'm not. I'm in somewhat of a similar situation, let's say.
Yeah.
Uh, but I see my. I don't want to become very unpopular with my kids and everything. So
It's all
uh,
perfect for them. They'll probably have a journey that will take them through sickness, until they become free from it. It's like my beautiful little sister had to go through such a long journey to become free. Like I said, she was in a wheelchair,
yeah.
bedridden for 14 years. When I was younger, she used to be given food because she asked it, like, let's say, well, pasta cheese, pasta bacon, and then like chocolate and things. And I was trying to say to the family, this is what's causing the sickness. Um, but it turned against me, and their perception is if she hasn't got a life, this is what makes her happy. But this is also what's making her sick. But that's the cycle that you live in when you're, at that level. So you just got to do what you can do, really. But now, adopting fruit-based lifestyle. She did like a 20-day juice fast, adopted a fruit-based lifestyle. She joined the gym. She's working out.
Mm. She was
She's,
in the wheelchair.
yeah, she sold the wheelchair. She's, and
Good riddance, right?
somebody that couldn't get out of bed. And if they got out of bed, they would ache for days. Chronic fatigue syndrome. That's what they would label it as, chronically fatigued. ME. It's uh, it's something that can be absolutely reversed by the lifestyle choices. It's profound, honestly. There's no explanation for it, they say, but of course, it's just a degeneration of like, the nervous system, and it's unable to be able to do what it does. Um, and fruit is king, especially if you've got the garden fruit, especially if you can be in a place where they grow. All I can say is I'm not sure about your country, but thank goodness for Spain because they grow everything but the UK.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the hmm, that's kind of the problem, right? Because or the solution and the problem, I don't know exactly because it's
Yeah,
with yeah.
you should,
Uh,
we wouldn't, nobody would be able to survive in the places that we live without corporate measures.
exactly.
The
If not, the
corporate,
focus was shifted. Also, if we could make huge grow houses, which of course will take a lot of energy, that's another negative aspect. But uh, you know, God knows where all the money is going. If there was a different set of, let's say, rulers,
yeah,
which had a different intention, or maybe the
Yeah.
funds, the resources could go towards creating something that could whip out food, living food, all year
Mm.
round, even in the UK and Norway.
Yeah. Well, you could get enough things, but the nature intended us to be in the warm temperate zone. As you move away from it, the land's cold, you eat food, heat the body up. That food that heats the body up causes the body dis-ease and slow acidity and a breakdown process over time. So the Vedics and they spoke of cold foods that cool the body and hot foods that warm the body. Truly that concept is just foods that cause acid. People's body heat goes up. Foods that are
Mm-hmm.
cooling to the body are non-acidic and they cool the body down. That's why fruits cool the body down. So you can live in tropics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I experienced that last summer actually because we had this camper, not a camper car, but this what you drag behind the car.
Okay.
You know,
Caravan.
caravan is that name? Okay.
Oh,
Anyway, it was stationary though, so it was whatever. It was warm, right? So everybody was complaining like, "Oh, it was so warm in the camper last night. It's because it was a few hot days." And I was perfectly fine, and I never had any issues with anything.
yeah. Yeah. It's a really drastic, the coolness of your body. That's why when you live in a place that's cool during the winter and you're trying to be fruit based, it's freezing,
Thank
very
you.
cold,
I
very, very cold.
noticed.
Yeah. So one thing, get to somewhere warm.
Yeah.
Get somewhere
Oh,
warm.
I'm sorry you haven't touched upon. Let's if you're okay with it, let's just do a few more. Okay, just
Hmm.
keep it short. Hello, can Josh comment more about something he mentioned on last Sunday's call when he mentioned prey-eating animals will go away for ascension purposes? Will they all just become extinct? Also, what will life in the future be like for animals people eat now, like cows and chickens?
Hmm. Well, chickens, cows are more commercial products. So they won't necessarily, be around because the food that they're consuming is not the food of nature, so they have to be fed. If they're in pasture, just eating organically, there'll be a balance brought to them if they're left to their own devices. But I'm sure it'll naturally evolve out. As I was saying, basically what I was saying last Sunday was that consciousness, as it evolves, it dynamically expresses within inside this, you could say, universe. And we see predators as predators and animals that eat meat going into extinction. Like there's not many lions in the wild, there's not many tigers in the wild. Pandas have been going. I know pandas are predominantly plant-based. Um, but all of these flesh-eating animals, they're dying out. The human behavior is moving to predominantly plant-based lifestyle because during the evolution of consciousness, you have to experience pain. And the pain body experience to recognize that which is true, that which is good and righteous. So we've gone through the periods of pain. We've gone through inflicting harm onto others, and we're going into a space, into a experience where this isn't necessary because all of the souls, spirits, energies have each had the experience of what it's like to eat flesh, to be eaten, and are going into this heightened experience. So as the human experience is being evolved beyond ego, certain experiences of the animal will be coming into the human experience. So it's evolving consciously. So we experience a greater age. So we're going into a more peaceful place where there's less harm on others and harms to ourselves just through the evolution of consciousness. So I would say all animals and beings that consume flesh will eventually be eradicated off existence because it's no longer necessary. You could perceive it as a form of evil to be experiencing as it's all been experienced. if that makes sense.
Bet it will. Um, Let me see. Just see if there's lots of good questions, but we don't have too much time, so I'm just gonna. This is a returning question, so just let us hit that one. It's from Rachel Andretta, and she says, "Has anyone any experience with seawater for seasoning salads? Can it be consumed regularly without affecting detox
Salt water from the sea.
for seasoning?" Yeah.
I I would say that one of the first times of salt being used in the Western world was when sailors were at sea bringing products over here and they were using seawater to cook their food with. So when they're cooking the food, it's seasoning the food and mineralizing it, but also salt is a flavor enhancer and has some addictive properties. One of them being in a hunger that kind of becomes insatiable. But seawater, if it was boiled, I would say it would be safe. But nowadays, as certain bacterias and funguses, these types of things are there to clear dead matter. It's like, certain insects eat plants when they're not aligned to perfection. So they eat the bad plants. These bacteria are in the sea because the sea has things in it which aren't naturally occurring. So these bacteria have been bred. They're not necessarily good for the human body. So if you do, make sure you boil your seawater.
Mm.
Very good. And yeah, it's just normal water, but has salt in it. So it's saline. But I do recommend salt. Not a lot of it, not loads, extreme. But make sure you.
Where does also like where does the limit
Oh,
go, so to speak? I've incorporated some baked potatoes for the evening meal, or a baked potato, I should say. And that I give a little salt and pepper.
hmm.
But is it kind of a limit? Would you say like a gram? Also, how much is good and how much is
If you're sensitive with your observation, you'll be able to observe what's too much and what's not. So I'd say, puffiness will occur, especially the next rising if you have excess salt and a massive thirst. But
so like water retention, more or less?
yeah, you'll find like a lot of water retention, especially around the eyes. If you observe it just dissipate through the day, then you know that the salt's causing excess sort of retention of water. Um, but the recommended daily allowance is, of the salt that they give you. So it's
The
predominantly
table
like,
salt, also.
yeah. So Himalayan salt you could even up from the recommended daily allowance. But I know that when you consume fruit, really, there's no need for salt. And that's where salad comes in. Sal is salt. Saline, salad, add salt. People add salt to salads. That's what it means. Add salt. So in this world of demineralization, it has an essential rate of minerals with it, but so does kombu. So
Mm,
take it as you wish. People now, if they live a healthy lifestyle, are experiencing a very extended life.
mm,
You just look back to even India in the 40s, because the food wasn't prevalent, even though they got the capability to grow, it wasn't there. Their life expectancy was like 45 years of age. Now it's 65, I think. But consume the right foods. Recognize that fruit is your fuel. Try to get them to a garden, and you will see that those that do live very, very long and very healthy without disease or problem.
mm. Unstable connection. I hope you're okay. Okay, I think we're gonna call it a day. It's been 2 hours. I would just want to say to those people listening, which I know are here for Josh mostly, but But coming next Tuesday, I'll be having a Norwegian broadcast with a Norwegian called Ulf Vegard, or Ulfedin, as he has kind of a, let's say, a stage name, not stage name, but he has also a page called White Wolf Alchemy, together with his spouse actually. Anyway, we will be doing that in English. So even though we're both Norwegian, we'll be doing the interview, let's say, or the talk in English. So for those of you who want to join that, feel free. It's hopefully going to be interesting.
Yes. And me and Michelle right now currently are building
Thumbs
the
up.
Flex fitness uh, course on our
Yes,
website.
that's fantastic.
And I don't know if anyone is aware, if they are not, or they may be, but Sister Michelle and I, and Brother Jostein as well, we were very much into our personal fitness journeys along the way, and have such a great, vast array of knowledge on the physical body as well. So Michelle's devising some work for all types of situations, whether you want to work out at home, you can use a step or resistance bands, some weights and free weights. We're going to do it in a gym, and we're going to do some filming, making sure that everybody has the correct posture, understands how to create hypertrophy and to expand, what nutrition one needs to eat. And I hope that we can have a great community on board, and maybe have a 2 month transformation and see what we can do on this fruitful, fruit-based,
Mm.
plant-based lifestyle. The journey's already been that's great for me. I think it's around about 3 months, maybe 3 months and 5 days. I have been working out again after a break of 6 to 7 years. Um, Keeping the fruit-based lifestyle with some plants, but predominantly the base is fruit. And I have now put on 62 pounds in that short amount of time.
That's amazing. And Bonnie Hall from the sideline, she says, "Me too. I'm in." So she's
Yes.
on.
We look forward
She's
to
on
having
board.
you with us, and I know your journey is reignited again. But it's it's something that also adds to the cleansing. It adds to the dopamine response, happy hormones, you could say, and also the detoxification of the body, extending life. See a couple of comments there.
Oh, are you on the comment?
Digesting it as well as fruit. I think it's just a trail of a question that someone asked before. But I look forward to this journey with everyone, because it's nice to be able to share with the community of questioners that you cannot build muscle on fruit, when fruit is the muscle builder, but it must be eaten in a certain quantity and of a certain quality.
We'll have to prove everyone wrong.
It's And you have also started already, haven't you, brother?
I have. I've been doing some weeks with light weights, and not in the Ronnie Coleman way. Really light weights. So, just to still pushing myself because I can't do anything then other than light weights. So it's kind of has to be that way.
Mm.
But definitely feeling another, like, a connection to my body. I feel it. I feel myself. It's strange. I can't put the words on it. Uh, but anyway, I know I'm on the right track because this is the feeling I've been missing. Let's say
Mhm. Yeah,
it's.
yeah.
I'm gonna do my measurements. I did my measurements about a month ago, so that was fourth of June, no, 1st of June, and I'm gonna do them the first of July, and I'm gonna keep monthly
Yeah,
tags
that's good.
on my measurements.
I think right now I'm about the size they say you can get naturally within 3.5 months, or just 3 months and a bit. I think my arms are touching 17 inches now.
Uh,
So I think hopefully within a few more months we'll go beyond that, and we'll show everyone what you can do.
it's gonna be amazing.
Someone's asked the question, how much do you weigh now, Josh, and what is your height, if I may ask? Um, 4'2". Um, I am just a tiny bit under 6 foot, so 6 foot around there. I would have been just over 6 foot with my hair in the band. Um, and I weigh 14 stone two-ish, 91.5 kilo, um, and 204 pounds, something like that. 203.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. It's going to be a interesting few months
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
up.
It'd be good. And if anyone has any sort of requests within the family of exercises they would like, we're trying to build a very good course. So we're not having it this month. It'll be probably at the beginning of August. But I want to try and get as many people on it as we can, because it'd be
Mm.
wonderful to have a group of exercisers for the Flex Fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. I actually overdid my yoga this morning. I think it was the
Fullness.
stretch of life, and I really want to get my head in the in the mattress before myself. So also in front of me, like when I stretch. So I probably pushed it a bit hard and feel my back is a bit acting up. My lower
Yeah.
back.
Rest is very important. Remember that. Try not to go too much into it at the start. And when you be getting your new muscles, they probably will need to learn how to stretch again.
Yeah, this was because this was actually the yoga routine this morning that put me. I did back yesterday actually, so it could be a combination.
Okay, yeah, probably that. You probably find that the muscles that you kind of lost, even though they never went, they just sort of lost volume.
Mm.
They're starting to be ignited with muscle soreness. That might feel like backache at the start. I found it too. Now there's
Oh,
some
good.
depth to them. It feels very different.
Mm. Okay, perspective has a question. I just want to address it because I feel some of the same things actually. That's why I found it interesting. Myself and my other half are getting a very funny smell from certain foods, and it's everywhere. It's getting unbearable now. We can't figure it out. I have actually the same issue.
Body
Some f-
or
hmm?
the body smell, or you mean
No, also some foods from certain foods. Of course, it's been meat mostly for me,
okay.
which smell kind of. I never s- I never smelled it like that before. It's never been experienced like that before.
Mhm.
It's food I've eaten before in my life, so it's not.
I think what it is, it's been a long time since I've spoken about things like this. But as you sort of go to this lifestyle, you become very sensitive. So when you start to become clean and pure, the receptors start to open up, and you may have just experienced that happening. So you're starting to smell things in their true color or true scent.
Mm,
And yes, things don't smell very nice when they're old, rotten. Some other people may just be so desensitized to it that it smells natural. But like you said,
mm-hmm.
meat has been glamorized as a food. It is absolutely not a food for the human, but it can be eaten.
Can be eaten.
Yes, we can deal with chicken legs. Someone's put, I hope that on this fitness course there is something I can do about my chicken legs. We can turn them into big turkey drumsticks. Mhm.
It's gonna be a transformation. Harry Kerr also. I used to love the smell of rice cooking. Now after 1.5 years on fruit, it smells and tastes horrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. These starchy carbs, unless they have salt added to them, after eating a fruit-based lifestyle, you try and have a potato. When you've had a break, you eat it, it tastes like nothing. got that full feeling. Once you have it, you've just ignited something inside of you. Now you've got some extra bacteria that wants feeding,
Mm.
fungus, you could say. And then you add salt to it and it starts to taste palatable. The same with pasta. You eat pasta on its own, you eat chicken on its own, you eat eggs on their own. There's just no taste. There's nothing. Yeah, if someone says that, um, they'll miss the taste of chicken. Yeah, I challenge them to just boil chicken up, eat it on its own for a couple of weeks, and see if they like the taste of chicken.
Mm.
It's the seasoning from fruits, vegetables, and herbs that make chicken taste nice.
All meat needs, some kind of marinade, lots of seasoning, the right cooking to even be edible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Marinade, marine aid. It probably the root word of that is marine aid. So the marine is the salt. So the first marinade was probably a aided salt. Yeah. Marine aid.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I digest all the beautiful greens like Swiss chard and arugula and lettuce that I'm growing in my garden? It's because it's not really digestible. You can eat it, but if you've been eating fruit for a long time, you're going to have to introduce it into the body. But first of all, you'll experience the inflammation that it causes, maybe some bloating. Kale, indigestible. I suggest if you're growing it, juice it um, and
Mm.
enjoy the juice. Lettuce is probably the most digestible one. Swiss chard, very tough to digest.
Mm.
But it's very good to hear that you're growing in your garden because that's a great place to be and a great thing to do.
Mm.
Do you eat? I know the show's come into a peak time that we don't really go past. Do you eat much rice these days, brother? Do you have any?
No, no, not rice.
No.
I've actually I bought a lot of rice, but this is just, and of course this
Back,
is probably, huh?
back up.
Backup,
Just back up. Yeah.
backup. If something should happen, uh, it's I rather spend a few quid now, a few
Very
hundred
English of
knocks,
you.
huh?
Yeah. Very English of you.
But at least uh, better to have and not have. If it
Mm.
rots, there it lies. Okay. But
Is this
actually, I want to ask you how long would you say? Those these 20 kilo bags of rice. They're having the kind of the textile bag, and there's a plastic inside.
Mhm.
How long would you say it has expiration date? I think the end of next year or something like that. Would you say it can be okay to eat?
If it was stored in the right environment, you'd probably be able to eat rice from the Egyptian times. So I wouldn't worry too much
Okay.
about it. As long as you keep it in a dry environment, it won't absorb moisture. And if it has moisture, then it'll mold. But apart from that, if it's sealed and dry, it'll be fine.
So if you keep it like inside in a tempered room all year round, like yeah, it shouldn't be an issue.
No, it won't be an issue.
Mm.
Um, but
No, but I
yeah,
don't eat rice. To answer your question, I do have these baked potatoes, some sweet
store it.
potato. Huh?
You don't eat rice, you store rice.
I store rice
Yeah.
just in case.
So sweet
I even
potato,
bought some,
that's your starchy carbs, yeah.
yeah, sweet potato and sometimes a baked potato. But it's just to. This is after the training started. Mm, just to have some
Yes.
slower working things in my stomach at evening and night.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you're still a very healthy man. You eat very well. I know you've adopted a fruit-based lifestyle for very long. You have your treats now and again, or what one may perceive as a treat. You've experienced that, but I know
Experience.
you're a very good eater. What a
Well, thank
compliment.
you. I
Thank
do
you.
it my, I do my best.
Yeah.
But I have, like you say, I have some treats now and then. I don't look at it as cheats. It's the treats.
Mm.
and I have to normally pay the price of those streets.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it brings also uh, a level of happiness,
Mm.
and but the setback or the downside, the other side of the coin is also you know, you have to take that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Here's what it is. It's a part of the journey. You go through it, you recognize what's the real food, you feel the difference. And that feeling that you have and the ability to feel is something that makes you know you're very much alive.
mhm.
You make the right choices. There's no pain. You make the wrong ones. There's a small amount of pain.
Yes,
Yeah. But that's good.
nice.
Very good where you're at. And I
Oh,
love moments and time with you. Thank you.
I'm blessed to have you, and I think I can speak for everyone. Then I say thank you for the time and your gnosis
Thank
on
you all
these
for
talks.
being with us. Thank
Yeah.
you for spending the time to sit here with us and everyone to be here. It's a pleasure as always.
Mm.
Thank you.
And for those who hasn't still haven't visited xfamunity.com, you missed out. Please,
Still chance.
there's still
Still chance.
chance. The good things are still yet to come. More good
The
things.
fundamentals to having a heightened experience and pointings that will take you to a place of happiness and freedom, health, and friendship.
Mm. So with that, I'm gonna try to finish this event. That's, you know, doing restream and multiple channels. It's always a bit of a hassle, but I think I start to get the hang of it. Thank you all. Love you all. See you when we see you.
Stay
I don't want to
happy,
say.
stay healthy. Remember, it's a choice.
Yes.
Perception is everything. Love and light to everyone.
Love and light. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.